Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi Live Coding. In this episode, I'm gonna share with you the creation process of this artwork that I just did. It's actually quite rather simple, but what's slightly more interesting is actually the material, cycles materials. The setup is actually, it's something like this. It's actually just like a ring made of a bunch of curve. Um, these things actually can be a lot more complicated, but this become really simple just because I'm using Sverchok, and it's become really simple to do something like this. Um, Although in reality it's actually not that easy if you want to have like a random ring and etc. But what's interesting here is also the material, the cycle material. I'm experimenting with the transparency shader, the transparency BSDF. I don't use much of the transparent BSDF, but apparently this kind of can be very interesting, especially when you start mixing the transparent with the non-transparent material. I'm still not 100% doing this correctly, but I'm start to getting somewhere because the idea is for each ring, which is made of curve, I'm using the UV of the curve right here. I'm turning on the use UV for mapping. Um, Let me make sure that I have it on. I think I need to scrub here for this guy to work. So I'm using this object ID and kind of changing the parameter on the fly. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, that's the result. So if we are using the UV of the curve, we can so easily kind of get a kind of the gradient from the beginning of the curve until the end of the curve. So this gives this kind of really nice effects. I think I need to use transparency more often. It's very interesting because normally you don't get that quite easily, but in computer graphics, transparency gives you that kind of very subtle, uh, soft look. Not everything is hard edge. Um, More like it's like a feather in Photoshop. So anyway, I can build this from scratch now. So start from nothing, file, save as circle, gradient. Compositing. I'll build everything using Sverchok actually. I'll start with a circle, and we don't need viewer bmesh or a viewer draw. We're just gonna create a polyline and just plug the circle into this guy, and we already get a circle. When you plug a circle, which is like a fully enclosed circle into polyline, you will not get like a closed curve. If you wanna kind of close it, you can fake it just by giving like a not like 360, but like a little bit of value, like 0.01 in degree. So you have it's kind of fully enclosed, but not really, because polyline cannot have like a fully closed curve, I don't think. But anyway, this is what we want, is to generate a bunch of curve like this with a varying degrees of curve. So let's try this. So polyline and simplified, leave it at this. It's actually quite easy. You just need to use the matrix apply. I don't use the matrix of the polyline itself because I don't want to scale the radius of the circle. So instead I will plug this into this guy, and with the matrix in, and we can use range float for the scale. simply plug this into the scale as a vector. 1, 2, 3. Plug into the scale. So like I said, I'm not plugging this into that guy, even though we can do that as well. But see, this is like the curve radius being scaled as well. We don't want that, so we plug this into that guy and have it like this. The radius of the circle can be controlled. Now if we want to randomize the degree, we can do that as well, simply using a random number generator. So the degree, just give it like a random value to up to 300 probably. There you go. It's already working. The count, let's give it a, actually 10 is actually a good value to start with. I'll leave it at that, but I'll still just plug this number. So we can increase it and decrease it as we please, as we want. The angle, so we need to also randomize the rotations, otherwise it looks like everything looks the same kind of, because it starts at the same point. We want to randomize it using, we can just plug this into that guy, and then the rotations is actually just plug it. Actually by default it's already rotating in the z-axis, but if you actually randomize using random vector in here, you can get this result, which is quite interesting in itself. Very complicated. Actually, I don't mind this kind of look. Maybe this is even better. So we are done with this. We either have random vector or just this z-axis. Once again, let's have not too many curve for now. Let's have it like this. The curve resolutions, you can increase it. For now, I'll leave it like low res like this. We are done with Sverchok. Here like a circle gradient. We can increase the radius if you like. Now there's this trick for each curve by default being generated by Sverchok. The curve doesn't have the texture space being turned on. You actually want this to be on for all the curve. We don't have like options to change this inside Sverchok, but we can use object set. The trick is to object ID set, if I'm not wrong. Object ID set, and then for each and every objects being generated by polyline viewer, we can simply change this use UV for mapping. We want it to be on. So you look at here, up here, bpy.context object data use UV as generated. We just copy that guy and then paste it here, and just remove everything up to the objects, because we already have the objects. We just need the data use UV as generated true. Now if you look at every curve, this guy is already on. So that's pretty cool. Very, very handy. I like it how Sverchok developer already make this available for us. So now everything is much more smooth, very fluent. Okay, now the next thing we want to do is to switch to cycle render and start to deal with the material. Just in case, so that this doesn't take too long, I will probably just append the material from my blend and just talk about it. I think this is the one. So I get the material already imported. I want to apply the material to every curve, so I will assign it using Sverchok. So that guy, quickly double check in the render. Maybe I'm actually using the wrong material. Interesting. File, append, and this is cycle, use nodes. Okay. Okay, that's the material. I should have named the material actually. Gradient. Alright, seems to be working. Okay, cool. Let's look at the material. Oh, that's apparently the wrong material, that's why. Select transparency curve. Okay, I picked the wrong material. Transparency curve, this guy, material. Get both. I think that's the one. Let's name it gradient transparent. Assign it using Sverchok and render. So I think we are getting somewhere here. We can leave it like black like this, and we can see the transparency is already working. I think I probably don't need this invert here. So I'm using, so basically with the material, if you look at it like this, is pretty simple. We are using the UV from the curve for every curve. So by doing it this way, Blender cycles material knows the beginning and the end of the curve, so it can do this transparent stuff. Probably I'm not actually 100% sure if I'm doing this transparency the right way, but it seems to be working. And maybe the beginning have to be slightly transparent as well, so the overall effects is much better. But you get the idea. View from top. Give it a better color. Okay, pink to bluish purple. Very sexy kind of design. Okay, that's very interesting. So I'm not sure if this transparent actually have any effects if it's colorized. Should be black. If you know like a better setup for this transparent material across a curve, just let me know. This is what I have at the moment. But anyway, the point is, if we go back to the Sverchok setup here and increase the number, okay, 30, 40, increase the radius, not too much, and controls the start and end points of this. So you have a lot of control already. Maybe perhaps even use the random rotations. I want to see how this looks. Gonna get, okay, that's not particularly exciting looking. So we have how many? 100? Maybe this should be like, this shouldn't be, yeah, the transparency is not, shouldn't be black. So now it's slightly better. It's not bad. Can be better. See, the materials is very important what I want to achieve here is to have these emissions and transparency, and the blending is with a transparent color for each curve. So hoping for a nice result. Cycle material is like a whole different areas, even though but everything is procedural if you think about it. Cycle material is all procedural mostly, and if you combine it with Sverchok modeling and animation nodes, oh, it's gonna be so powerful. With this kind of thing, I can actually animate the circle, like rotating, if I like, using Sverchok. If you want animation nodes, well, maybe we don't need for this case. We can already like rotate the circle as well. Randomize the seed. Maybe reduce the radius. Yeah, but I think that's pretty much it for this live coding. I think you should understand all the techniques. If you have any questions, feedback, just let me know down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.